All right, let's say we have this function of f of x equals 2x squared, and the direction says to find the slope of the secant line through the points 1, f of 1, and 1 plus h, f of 1 plus h, where h cannot equal 0. All right, now this is just a weird way of saying that we're just going to basically use our formula, and our formula is this f of a plus h minus f of a all over h, where you can see this matches my a, in other words, is 1. And so I'm going to plug 1's in there. So I could do that next step. F of 1 plus h minus f of 1 over h. Well, I'm going to use my function, and where I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1 plus h, and where I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1. So let's do that. 2x squared, where I see an x, I plug in a 1 plus h squared, so that's 2x squared, minus where I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1 all over h. So what I'm doing is I'm just using this formula here where my a is 1, and then I evaluate my function where I see an x, I plug in 1 plus h, and then 1. And now it just becomes an algebra problem, meaning that I have to square. So that's 1 plus h times 1 plus h. And then, of course, I can just say minus 2, right? Because that piece, 1 squared is just 1. And so now I have to FOIL this out. That's FOIL. Missed some of my lines there. So if I want to do that, I'm basically, there's a shortcut that says square the first term plus 2 times 1 times h, and then square the last term. If you're like, what? That's FOILing this out and then collecting like terms. Minus 2 all over h. Then what I would do is I would distribute this 2 to everything in the parentheses. So I'd get 2 plus 4h plus 2h squared. And then I still have the minus 2 all over h. So nicely the 2's cancel. And I end up with 4h plus 2h squared over h. I factor an h out of the top. So, so that can cancel, and I end up with this 4 plus 2h. Okay, so the thing though with this 4 plus 2h, what this means is going to be for my second part, so this is my slope of my secant line. Okay, so this is my secant slope through somewhere way up there. You can't see it anymore. There it is. Through these, where'd they go? Those 2 points. All right, and then it says, well, give me the slope of the graph. So now I want the slope of the graph at 1 f of 1. Well, what that means, that's going to actually be my slope of my tangent line where I take the limit. So all I do is I add the piece. I do everything that I did above, but I'm going to add this piece, the limit as h goes to 0. Well, why do I got to do all that again? I just did it, right? 2h. And as h approaches 0, that piece goes to 0. So this limit would be 4. So that would be the slope of the graph at 1 comma f of 1. And then finally, find the equation of the tangent line. So the equation of the tangent line, I just found the slope. That's the slope. I'm looking at x equals 1, so what would y equal? Well, my original equation was f of x 2x squared. If x equals 1, then it looks like my y would equal 2. Now that I have a slope and I have a point, I use my point slope formula, minus x1. So I get y minus 2. My slope is 4. X minus my 1. And then it's back to algebra land. So y minus 2 equals 4x minus 4. I add 2 to both sides, and I get y equals 4x minus 2, and that becomes my equation of my tangent line at the point x equals 1.